Today is launch day and I didn't do anything fancy. I just wanted to show you the nitty gritty of what went in behind it. And that includes working out of my basement. I have also had this in progress for over 10 years. I studied fine arts about 10 years ago in my undergrad. It was one of my two majors. And I very much enjoyed it. Went on to do my master's in communication, PhD in media studies. So I've long looked at composition and artistic styles and creation strategies, but I have not picked up a paintbrush in a very long time, up until recently, about a year ago. During my thesis defense process, you have to wait a couple months in between completing your PhD thesis, waiting for your presentation, then waiting for your defense, then waiting for the results. So in between all of that stress, I went back to the one thing that I love, the one thing that keeps me calm, the one thing that just allows me to express and embrace and enjoy my own presence in solitude, and that's painting. And so I am launching my painting website, my art website. It's an offshoot of my original dramarapope.com and .ca, where you can see all of my media, all of my press, my TEDx talk, my download, my publications, all of those fun things, but it'll be dramarapope.com or .ca/art. And that's going to be everything art for me. And of course, I feel like one of my number one questions is, what's your subject matter? Well, first off, my medium, I love to paint in oil and acrylics. And that's because the oil painting gives you a lot of depth, a lot of rich hues. Whereas the acrylic, I can play a little bit more with the texture of the piece. So some of the textures of my pieces pop out. They're very textured. They're very much something you could run your fingers across. So that's what I really love. But in terms of subject matter, I really enjoy painting landscape pieces that are inspiring based on my locality. So that could be growing up in Elmira, going to school in the Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge area, or it involves landscape pieces of places that I've traveled to. That could be Los Angeles, that could be Vegas, that could be New York City, that could be Malaysia, all these different places that I've been to, which hasn't been that many so far. I hope to travel a bit more, but I am inspired by my surroundings, and that's what I tend to paint. Also very much prominent in Canada because I've lived and grown up in Canada. I just went to Peggy's Cove and I painted that. It's one of my favorite pieces right now, so please go check it out. And I think another big question I'm going to have is, did you paint Drake? Because for those of you that know me, my PhD, my master's degree theses, as well as my TEDx talk and many of the press that I've done with NBC, Billboard, iHeartRadio, CBC, CTV, you name it, has been on my research on Drake's marketing and branding strategies, as well as his rise to fame. So I will say this, just in the nick of time, this morning, I am recording this live, I did finish one of my pieces on Drake. I just want to show you kind of the style that I go for. So my style in terms of painting plays with the interdepth of different layers, as well as different hues and compositions working together to create an overall piece. So for example, take his lips, right? There's so many different colors, so many different brush strokes, all layered on one another to create the overall effect of a slightly opened mouth. But that's what I really love, because I love to play with different layers that create that push-pull depth to the piece. I find that a static piece is something that you can capture and enjoy in a fleeting moment, whereas I really like to play with depth so that if you sit there and you really stare at a piece of work, you can look at all the different layers and textures working together to create the overall composition. And for me, that's something great, because every time you look at a piece, it doesn't get stale. You know, you get to see something new in the different formations. Maybe you notice a different brushstroke pattern that you didn't before when you originally looked at it. Something I really love. So even in the earring, you can see the different things, and it's also textured. So it actually pops out a little bit, but I just finished this one, so I am not going to touch it right now. Usually they take a couple months at a time to paint if you do it with oil. I've been using a couple varnishes to help speed up the process, but many of these pieces took me months at a time because I work with layers. So you have to wait for each layer to kind of dry and solidify. So I mentioned working on landscapes. I mentioned working on musical artists or pop artists. or R&B, depending on how you categorize Drake. And that is something I really love because I studied music. I'm no musician, but I am deeply in sync with music because I have Trinidadian parents and music is in my blood, is what I grew up with. So one piece I want to show you too is a piece that also combines something else I really love to paint, and that is vehicles. So I love to paint different sports cars. This one's of an older truck. This piece is actually inspired by Port Rowan, which is a place in Ontario that I really love to visit during the summer with my family. And so again, you could see the interplay of different layers, the texture of the bricks in this piece, the texture of the trees in this piece. And I have it laying flat right now because it's in the drying process. It should actually be dried by the end of the week, but it's been a couple months in the process. And I love painting sports cars. I love painting muscle cars. I have a section in my website at www.dramarpope.com or .ca/art. And in that website has a section on my dream garage, which is sports cars. My dad and little brother love cars. My dad has an old Subi that he has kept for years and years and years. It hit over 400,000 kilometers. And it's because he's gone in, he's fixed it up many times over, and it's something that he's really passionate about cars. So that's something that I really love to embrace myself in, that car culture. I then married somebody, so my brother loved cars too, and then I married somebody who loves cars, loves sports cars. So that's something that I started getting into even more as an adult, went to car meetups, and so I myself cannot say I'm an expert, but it's been really fun to learn about sports cars through the process of creating these pieces and learning about the aerodynamics, the body of the work, the history behind those different brands. That's something that I incorporate in my artistic descriptions. So every single one of my pieces has an artistic description. On my website, right beside, you'll see an image of the piece, the size, the type of medium I use, so it's oil or acrylic, or you can then go and read the long artistic description, and that's great because it gives you the inspiration behind the work, the description of what I was going for in the piece, and a little bit about me. You'll learn a little bit about why I chose that subject matter. So please go take a look, and I'm super excited to hear what your thoughts are about my artwork. So please let me know if you've had a chance to take a look. Just click on the links that I'll provide here in the descriptions, and yeah, very excited for you to share your feedback with me. Okay, so one thing that I totally forgot to mention, it's very, very, very important. It's essential to my artistic practice, is that there are no prints created. That means that every single piece is completely original and no one else is going to be able to buy it in a different size, on different canvases, or on different apparel. It's not printed on anything else. So what you have is completely unique. And I think that's very important because to me, I wanted the experience that the owner is going to have with every single piece of artwork to be an authentic, original experience. And that's created by looking at the original colors, the hues, the textures. The medium is not going to be the same when you get a print version of what the original was when it comes to oil and acrylic pieces. So I myself won't even be able to replicate the pieces that I am selling because they're completely original and unique. I may approach the same subject matter, but the piece is not ever going to be the same. So what you get is completely unique. I think that's very important because with the subject matter I have, like a landscape where you can feel that texture, or a pop culture or artist where you can see the different layers, with a car, an automotive idea or theme. Again, there's that interplay of depth. And I also do paint abstract emotions as well. And I think that those especially also play with a lot of depth and a lot of layers, which can't really be replicated. And I think that a print kind of takes away that richness of the piece. And different artists do different things. Many create prints, but for me, I'm not fully just in it to make a lot of money. I think that having that unique, authentic experience with an original piece of artwork is incomparable. To me, that is something that I'm so passionate about. So I'm very, very excited. Each piece is also going to come with a certificate of authentication signed by me, stamped by me, sealed by me. So you'll know that each piece that is offered on my website is also an original with an authentic and original code as well. So I keep a log of every single piece of artwork with those codes. And yeah, they'll be available for delivery and for purchase in different methods, whether you're in Canada or you're international, but there are some perks like free delivery if you're living in Canada. So yeah, I'm very, very, very excited for this piece of me to be shared with you. So let me know what you think and give me some feedback. Make sure you go to www.dramarapope.com.ca/art. So that's www.dramarapope.ca or .com/art. Dr. Amara Pope Art. Very much looking forward to chatting with you guys and stirring up some artistic conversations. See you later.